Welcome to Rwanda Television News, the news in details. Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente on Tuesday attended on behalf of President Paul Kagame the inauguration ceremony of President-elect Faustin-Archange Touadéra of the Central African Republic. The RDF has been instrumental in thwarting rebel attacks that had wanted to disrupt the elections led by former Central African President François Bozize, trying the stage post-election violence in the capital, Bangui. This is the second 5-year term of President Touadéra. In his remarks, he assured the people of the Central African Republic that his term would be marked by the defeat of armed groups on his country's territory. President Touadéra's pledge is in line with another vow to eradicate the culture of impunity in his country. He also assured that he is the president of all Central Africans, regardless of beliefs, political parties, and so on. He has also said whatever he does, he will work with them and put their interests first. In addition to Rwanda, officials that attended the swearing-in ceremony came from countries like Burundi, the DRC, Congo, Gabon, Chad, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, Angola, France, Russia, and more. The government of Rwanda has urged people in the country to respect COVID-19 preventive measures after a variant and faster-killing version of the virus was identified in the region. Now, the call was made during a press conference on Tuesday. Serge Noel has more on this report.
The press conference comes after new directives were issued on preventive measures on Monday to be respected over the next 2 weeks, which officials say are critical. Some countries in the region are already experiencing a third wave of fresh infections, and in the past we had usually followed suit. Our concern is to therefore work to avoid this third wave in the near future, and the only way to do this is to respect the measures in place, lest it hits us because of complacency. That applies to this week we are in and the 2 that will follow it, as we elaborated earlier extensively. Practicing these preventive measures is everybody's responsibility. The new measures come into effect as students prepare to begin their holidays on Wednesday and people get ready for Easter on Sunday, meaning the transportation sector is bound to be busy.
We decided to transport them over a period of 4 days to make things easier, so that buses will pick them up from their schools and take them to the transit posts in every province before they are then taken to their home districts. We are obviously glad that the children are going to see their parents again, but we must remind them that school holidays do not mean parties.
The National Police is also warning the general public against breaking the COVID-19 preventive measures in place, though the use of excessive force by police personnel has been prohibited, with the recent shooting of a local resident in Rwanda district of the northern province by a policeman given as an example. In cases when a policeman or woman uses excessive force, then they must answer for their actions as individuals. And that is what happened in that particular case, because the policeman in question is to be prosecuted. It is unfortunate that such incidents make it look like the entire police force is responsible. Yet the directives issued specifically stress that the police is not to harm local residents in that way, clearly infringing on their rights. It is prohibited. Officials in the Ministry of Local Government are urging people not to become impatient about the measures in place because it is only a matter of time before things go back to normal. People with bars and hotels should be patient because after they open again, business will be very good with tourists eager to return en masse. After the appropriate portion of our population has been vaccinated, the economy will be given a massive boost. Global travel will return to what it used to be, and development will be accelerated with more money in people's pockets. We are therefore asking the general public to be patient for just a little longer so that enough vaccines can become available to the masses. Figures from the National Police indicate that 74,000 people in the country have so far been penalized for breaking COVID-19 measures, and 355 bars caught illegally operating, with close to 3,000 customers in them.
This Wednesday, members of parliament called on the National Commission for the Fight Against Genocide and other relevant agencies to step up efforts to eradicate the ideology of genocide among the youth.
Among the origins that lead to the genocide ideology among the youth, especially those that live abroad, is explained by Muhire Louise Antoine, who headed the Rwandan diaspora in Canada but now lives in Rwanda.
Going by my experience, there are people who do not get factual news about Rwanda because we hear a lot when we are abroad. The second thing is that there are those who have been hostages of their parents' mistakes and atrocities they committed in the country. We have others who are looking for a living and they go abroad and lie and are given papers to stay abroad. All this leads to lies about Rwanda. Some even go to social media to peddle the lies, but all this is because that's what they have been told by their parents or read lies about the country.
Institutions responsible for promoting unity and reconciliation have for years established a way to educate the youth about the evils of genocide and its ideologies. On Tuesday, the Standing Committee on Unity, Human Rights and the Fight Against Genocide submitted to the General Assembly a report on its work on the National Commission for the Fight Against Genocide, CNLG, in which they indicated on the need to educate the youth more on the importance of unity and reconciliation in order to fight genocide ideologies in all levels, as they have found that it has increased in the last 3 years. The first thing is to educate them and instill in them the cultural values which include patriotism, among others. The No Munyarwanda program has also to be boosted amongst the youth in all categories so that no one is left behind. And this will help that even when they go to use social media, this will not change or affect them in any way. The members of parliament also called on CNLG and the Ministry of Infrastructure to properly build infrastructure at all national memorial sites that were recognized by UNESCO.
The launch of smartphones for women across the country is one of the highlights of this Women's Month. Now, about 3,000 women have been given smartphones, say these modern phones have come to help them improve their responsibilities. Omari Jade has more of this report.
The women who were given the smartphones are the leaders of the agriculture and livestock cooperatives and the women of the agriculture assistants. These telephones will help them to get information about agriculture and to inform them of what they are doing. Nyiraneza Adri is a smartphone consultant in Nyamasheke district who says it will not only help her in agriculture but also help her in real life. This phone is going to help me a lot with agriculture. We're going to be connected. If we send for something, we will receive it on time. If I could hug the person responsible for this, I would. But because of Corona, I cannot. I am really grateful for this opportunity. As you can see, I am now on WhatsApp and I am able to send updates and pictures to my children. We also have a center and now this can allow me to make payments to that center. The Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Mukeshi Mana Gerardine, says that Connect Rwanda, the spread of technology among Rwandans, has reached out to women working in agriculture and animal husbandry. She also says it is important that these women play a key role in finding sustenance for the people of the world, urging them to use these smartphones well in increasing agricultural productivity. The Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Ingabire Paula, says smartphones will continue to be distributed to the locals as they become available. The purpose of Connect Rwanda is to share technology, to ensure that everyone in Rwanda, young and old, knows that phones are not only for calling and texting, to inform them that phones can be of high importance by helping them find ways to make money and progress as a society. There is still a long way to go, and we have been talking to several institutions, including banks, to see how we can connect the locals with smartphones that will help them. The Connect Rwanda program began in December 2019. Before COVID-19, several individuals and businesses in Rwanda had agreed to provide 40,000 smartphones. Umngari Jade, RTV News.
Volkswagen this Wednesday launched their second electric car charging station at the Kigali Convention Center.
In 2019, electric vehicles arrived in Rwanda and 2 electric car charging stations have been set up, adding to a network that will accelerate the uptake of electric vehicles in the country. The director of the Volkswagen Mobility Solutions in Rwanda explains that bringing these vehicles to Rwanda is about taking the lead and keeping up with the times.
Where the world has reached, e-mobility is the future. That's where we are heading. We are starting this phase to see what the challenges are, for example, in a steep hill and other issues. We have trained those who will use the cars, and we are proud as Rwanda that we are moving with the trends.
As these vehicles begin to spread across the country, they will help conserve environment as they do not emit pollutants. This is one of the goals that Rwanda wants to achieve. At the event, Environment Minister Jeanne d'Arc Mujawamariya returned to the issue of environmental protection, adding that investment in these activities is a great way of protecting the environment. Rwanda has chosen a new approach to the development of environmental protection policies, in particular the promotion of our traditional heritage. Investing in this sector is promoting these policies. Rwanda promotes these as we continue to promote and conserve the environment and also increase on innovations. This is done when about 90% of the world's people breathe in polluted air, and up to 7 million have died every year because of this. Up to 3 power lines will be installed in the country. The car will last 45 minutes and will be driven for 200 kilometers and will last for 2 hours and will take all the power needed for the car to return and at least run through 300 kilometers. In addition, the car can also use home electricity, where the car can last up to 10 hours. The expansion of these charging stations will go hand in hand with the training of those who will do so and other related issues.
This Tuesday, private companies with a large number of women employees were recognized. Now they say that hiring women leads to less errors in the workplace due to their attention to detail. Now women working in the private sector report that they are happy in their institutions. Gabi Muvunyi reports.
Various companies in the private sector have taken bold steps in recognizing the value of gender equality in business and are committing to eliminate all forms of gender-based inequality. Some women working in the private sector say they appreciate the freedom given at their workplace, explaining that it allows them to excel in their work. I used to see minors thrive at what they do, and I told myself I can do that too. Now I have made major strides in my life. In continued efforts in promoting the principle of equality of employment in the private sector, the Gender Monitoring Office, United Nations Development Programme, and Rwanda's Private Sector Federation commends the private sector in their constant efforts in making businesses more gender inclusive. Minister of Gender and Family Promotion emphasizes on the principle of gender equality in employment and the benefit it has on the economy.
We recruited lately 25 women for the different branches that we have all over the country. We have 33 branches. We think that having women in different positions, from the lowest levels up to the top management, will improve the organization, will improve the decision taking. One of the biggest challenges that we have is that in the technology that we are working, energy, electricity, etc., there are not enough women that are learning in high schools, in universities.
The UNDP resident representative in Rwanda applauds the private sector and Rwanda in general on the roles it has played in promoting gender equality in the country.
These companies you are seeing here have put in place strategies to deal with the challenges that women still face in the workplace. So we think that by removing those challenges, including the challenges associated with the reproduction, having children, but also having a conducive environment to work in. So we think that this will have impact in the production of the companies, but also in the economy of the country.
Leader across the world. You know, whether you look at the number of women who are in the public service, but increasingly the number of women who are playing a role in the private sector as well. Rwanda is leading, and not just leading in terms of the numbers, but the quality and the contribution that women are making to the economy. It is remarkable. That is a giant step, but it is not sufficient on its own. We have to look into some of the things we're doing as individuals, as families. what messages are we sending to the boy child? And how are we recognizing and empowering the girl child to take more leadership in the societies that they are in?
Recent figures released by the Bureau of Statistics indicate that women in the mining industry account for 1%, the transport sector is at 9%, in the energy sector is at 5%, and in the construction sector 19%. Women own about 33% of the small businesses, while 32% are in the decision-making positions in the private sector. The Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion say that although much has been done, the level of gender equality in the private sector has not yet reached satisfactory level. Kabi Muvunyi for RTV.
Professional farmers across the country say they have made efforts to increase productivity in order to satisfy the market. However, they are asking the government to help them get investment in financial institutions as is still delaying their projects. Now, the announcement comes as the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources have started collecting their views of the professionals, which will be taken to the UN General Assembly.
Teo Munyanja is a fish farmer in Lake Kivu and Muhazi in Ramagana district with a monthly production of 24 tons of fish. He says he's working hard to increase productivity in order to satisfy the market. However, the challenge he faces is the issue of high loan interest rates from financial institutions.
We have reached a point where we can extend our produce to the market. For instance, we have fish we distribute in Kigali, in Kimirongo, even in Gisenyi. We have come from far, but we are at the point where we believe satisfying the market is attainable. However, the challenges are the high interest from banks we get as farmers. So, if we could get loans that do not require us to give interest, it would go a long way in increasing productivity.
He shares these sentiments with Torero Mujanyi Eugene, an entrepreneur who grows maize and soybeans on 30 hectares. Tejera Innocent, who is in charge of this entrepreneur's production, says they face the challenge of inadequate pesticides to spray, making them not satisfy the market. The Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources has started collecting the views of stakeholders in the agricultural sector. These are views that are being put together to be presented to the United Nations General Assembly, which will be attended by heads of state and government as they work towards improving the world's food security. The General Assembly is to be held in New York in September this year. Jean-Claude Musabimana, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, says that Rwanda is doing its utmost to increase the productivity of the agricultural sector and to find more markets in Rwanda and abroad.
You know, Rwanda puts in a lot of effort to ensure that all Rwandans have food both in quality and quantity. You can't work without food. You can't be productive while hungry.
Jean-Claude Musabimana added that the ideas they would gather would be put together to decide what would be presented to the UN General Assembly so that Rwanda would showcase its innovations in various ways.
We are collecting people's views, but we know some that have been in place for a while. For instance, in Rwanda, we have our own homegrown solutions as Rwandans, which enable us to find food for the citizens. These, among others, are some of the ideas that will be put forward so that decisions are made to help even globally. So we will give the platforms to these people to give ideas or what their contribution is to the efforts of increasing food supply to the people.
According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, research carried out 3 years ago found that more than 81% of Rwandans have food security. Another survey is currently being carried out to update the figures.
Now, on behalf of the entire news production, thank you for your company. I wish you all to stay well and stay safe during this COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Jane Mutoni. Bye for now.